And a very pleasant good morning, everybody. Great to be with you. Today's edition, the Degenerate Friday edition of the Morning Briefing. I'm Jeff DeForest, along with Mike Lubie Lubitz, a.k.a. Defo and Lubie. And happy to have you along for the ride here today. I got to start a little bit off the sporting front. I was watching Dallas and Seattle last night, had a small betting interest in the Seattle Seahawks in the game, getting 9 points. It might have even gone off nine and a hook. Did you think that that was a generous offering, Mike Lubitz, as you were inclined, if you were inclined, to make a wager on a ball game? Dallas has been crushing people like a grape at home and winning by margins in excess of something in the neighborhood of an average of 27 points a game in their home game so far this season. Seattle coming in there with Geno Smith. I don't know that you were anticipating him picking apart the defense of the Dallas Cowboys to the extent that he did, where this was the fifth game, Lubie, in NFL history, only the fifth time in NFL history that neither team punted in the ballgame.
Oh, wow. Really?
Holy Brandon Staley, man, what
That's
are we
crazy.
talking about here? Neither
Yeah.
team punted in the ballgame. Not one single attempt by either punter. They made a big fat paycheck for doing absolutely nothing yesterday. It was exciting all the way around. As went back and forth, a high-scoring affair. The over people were doing a Kazatsky early in the contest. And those that were getting 9 points with the Seattle Seahawks got a little bit nervous at the end, Lubie. Does this not always seem to happen? This is why, once again, we say gamblers and sick degenerates die with their mouths wide open. Because the last thing that flashes before your eyes is the amount of money that you lost lifetime. And you're thinking, how could that happen? You could probably pinpoint it. If Seattle had gone down to the points last night, that would have been, a reason to be on a dilaudid drip for the next 6 months. Never mind thinking about anteing up tonight on a couple of underdogs that we're going to give to you a bit later on. But I'm watching a game, and there were a couple of other games of local interest on. The Florida Panthers were playing, and they were knocking the crap out of the Montreal Canadiens. And one of the more interesting teams to watch now in the NBA, Louis, happens to be, and you would never think this, holy Larry Bird, what are we talking about here? The Indiana Pacers.
Yes, they score. Holy crap.
Pace being the key word there.
Yes.
Wow, did they run an electrifying pace? So where is Paul Westhead?
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, this is just as quickly as you can initiate your offense. They don't care for the 24-second clock. They would need like a 2.4-second clock to get into their offense. Now, Buddy Hield from Oklahoma, many years ago, we saw Buddy Hield in the Final Four. We were talking about a couple of times on the morning briefing and in other shows. And we saw him just throw brick after brick.
Yep.
There at Energy Stadium, which this Final Four was taking place in Houston. Villanova ended up beating North Carolina in dramatic fashion after Oklahoma got smoked in their ball game. Did they play Villanova?
I know it was Syracuse.
Syracuse was the fourth team.
North Carolina. I don't know who played who in that final.
Yeah, who was the other team there? That's a good question. They weren't very good. Yeah, if Syracuse
teams, but I don't
was memorable.
Who played who?
Nonetheless, we saw Hield, and he was highly heralded as one of the great chuckers of all time. He was shooting from the Coke machine and making all kinds of crazy shots, and ice cold that night. Ice cold last night for the Indiana Pacers. That might have been the difference in the game. But, wow, are they an overplayer's dream? How many points do you have to ascribe to that contest as the over-under barometer to accommodate the fact that the Indiana Pacers are a very exciting team to watch? That their record isn't all that great now. I believe they might have fallen to 9-8 last night.
Okay, because they were doing really well for a while there, but I haven't kept track of them in the last 2-3 weeks.
So in between all of that action, right? I have action on the Seattle game against the Dallas Cowboys, and that's on a premium channel, so I have to juggle like 6 different remotes to try and get that game. Then you have to shut the TV off and go to another room and actually get on the phone with somebody that's in a boiler room in the Philippines to get instructions as to how you get back to regular TV so I could watch the other games that were taking place. And in the middle of all that, I decide I'd seen a promo that, and this will come as a surprise to the many people that are fans of the show, that we were about to witness on The Golden Bachelor, the most dramatic conclusion in Bachelor or Bachelorette history.
Don't they say that every time? I've never watched the show at all, but I feel like
with this old fart. Yeah. How could you take Jesse Palmer? Is he better at feigning like he actually gives a shit about these people or at analyzing football games. Because he's not bad on these football shows. He seems to know what he's talking about. He does have a history. He was a good quarterback at the University of Florida. Although, who was he in the platoon system with? Was that Danny Werfel?
Doug Peterson. He
Doug,
was after Danny Werfel. I think it was Doug Peterson and him.
That was crazy, right? Remember when Steve Spurrier used to alternate quarterbacks every other play?
It was in the game. It was like series to series.
It was Tony La Russa gone mad. Just let's keep switching it back and forth. I don't care how many pitchers you have on the roster, Tony. Well, we're only carrying one other player, one position player, and 24 pitchers. So I'm going to keep making these switches. So I tune in the Golden Bachelor, and the deal was, and I'd seen some clips of it, and I thought that the Bachelor, and I guess especially if you're a male. I mean, you're looking at a guy and 30 absolutely of the most stone gorgeous babes that would adorn the cover of any magazine, and you'd be happy to pick up several copies. You were hoping maybe that they would concede and do one of these magazines where they might appear in the nude somewhere in the centerfold. And all of them are just slobbering all over the guy they don't even know as they stumble out of the car in their high heel shoes. They're proclaiming unwavering love for this cat that they just met like 2 seconds ago. All right, so it got to be cliche, but in this case, you're watching the show maybe because these women are so attractive. You've never seen a field like that since Secretariat was entered in the Kentucky Derby. I mean, it's just beautiful. And then with this field, I don't know. It was a scathing indictment against the entire cosmetic industry. But whether you're talking about surgery or infusions and injections, these women, it reminded me of some horrible experiences I had traveling around when I was single, Boca Raton, Florida, where you're looking at the person next to you and her lips look like they were those of a grouper, which is a native fish down here that, I mean, it's so exaggerated that it really it was completely unappealing. I mean, you were thinking you're one injection away from being Tupperware. So they really, I don't know. I thought like they hosed this guy, Lubie. Did you buy my formula? Like if you're an older guy like I am, and you're thinking about dating a younger woman, what should the Mendoza line be? The cutoff for that number, and I came up with a formula years ago, and I think it works. People, you can apply it in your own lives, and I think you'll find that it really is an empirical formula that is nothing but laden with truth, and that is take your age if you're the guy, divide it in half. So in my case, I'm 72. It would be 36. Add 7 years. Don't ask me where I came up with that part of the equation. I mean, what am I, Rene Descartes? Add 7 years, and that should be the lowest age of a woman that you pursue, realistically, to have any kind of connection. I mean, if you're De Niro or something, you're with some 28-year-old. Well, he's got his own share of problems with the women that he's with right now. Hey, scratch my back.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, like a 72-year-old guy, so they should have had some women, between like 43.
You can have your 50s.
And maybe late 50s, somewhere in there. No?
Like, I don't know about 43, 30 years, your junior's a lot, but like you would think 50s. You would think he could date 50 some things. The problem is you're doing people in their like mid to late 60s. It's like, why? Like he doesn't,
these women look
dating 65-year-olds.
Like I've seen better fields at the Flagler dog track when I used to go to the dog races.
The rich older dude, maybe not 25, but he's dating 50. I would say between 45 and 55 is probably what he's dating. He's not dating 62. Like these women were older women, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but like it wasn't realistic at all. Like this dude would never date these women in real life. Like, there's no way. No way.
A field of what appeared to be bag ladies to me, generally.
That's what I mean, but they were like older ladies, and this dude, I get that was the point. Is he's an older man, older women finding love. But come on.
This was the biggest crock of shit, man. This guy,
he's 68.
He had the credibility of, he made George Santos but looked like he was, just the epitome of integrity and truth. It turned out, the body of his ex-wife wasn't even, not his ex-wife, I guess it was his wife. She passed away. Her body wasn't even cold yet, and he was already in an affair and living with another woman. He claimed that he hadn't been touched for years and that this was going to be a journey as we were saying earlier this morning. I mean, you didn't know if you were watching some romance show, a reality show, or you were watching Susie Colbert interview
Draft prospect.
NBA draftees as they came off the stage and start talking about, oh, when you first went on this journey. It's like, what journey, man? I got drafted by the fucking Pistons. That's the worst thing that could have happened to me. My life is over, Susie. By the way, nice hat. I mean, that kind of thing. There's that sideline reporter thing again. Anyway, it turned out to be total bullshit. And the way this guy, like a monster truck, he just bulldozed the heart of some, poor, unsuspecting, like 65-year-old woman who now will never be the same after the show. Jesse Parino, man. I mean, the way he feigned concern for this. I mean, forget about Chris Harrison, who used to be the host of The Bachelor. I mean, for the longest time. But imagine all of that action, Lubie, and that's what I got immersed into on TV last night. He, by the way, came away with a big win. We were telling you about Jaime Jaquez Jr. Wow. 4 years of college did not go down the drain with that kid.
No, it did not. He's top 3 in Rookie of the Year so far, and he was drafted mid to late first round.
You weren't thinking Wembanyama, Holmgren, or maybe Jaquez Jr. when he was picked by the Heat. And they tried to throw him in, I'm sure, in that deal to the Portland Trailblazers.
The Blazers didn't like him at all. Have you watched the Blazers? They're a fucking disaster.
Unbelievable, man. This Joe Cronin might be the dumbest guy in sports. How is, by the way, one final thing. A friend of ours brought this up on another show that we did. How is Deion Sanders the sports person of the year from Sports Illustrated? What does that say about Sports Illustrated? Is that not like when Motor Trend magazine, I don't know what level of bribery was involved in this, but they made the Chevy Vega the car of the year in 1972. The Chevy Vega, like a piece of shit with an aluminum block engine that even I know was destined to failure. That was not going to go more than 34,000 miles before it had a hole in it and was spewing oil like a geyser somewhere in Texas. Unbelievable. All right, that'll do it for today's morning briefing. We did have some picks. Everybody likes dogs tonight. There are a couple of college football games of great significance. Yeah. Everybody likes the dogs that we talked to, talking about New Mexico State over Liberty getting 11 and a hook, and Washington, the big mystery game.
New Mexico State's the team that beat Auburn by double digits before Auburn went and should have beaten Alabama.
Yes, many underdogs, though, were the choices of our various handicappers, including those two, if you're playing tonight.
Tonight, Washington and Oregon. It's getting 10.
Yeah.
As a number 3 in the country.
Another big pick was Miami of Ohio and UNLV in their conference. They may be weenie conferences, but it doesn't matter. If you're making money, that's what it's all about. All right, for Mike Lubie Lubitz, I'm Jeff DeForest. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you again next week. Another week of morning briefings right here on NoFilter.net and Caffeine TV. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on a Peel Yourself Off the Mat Monday.